Sequences. Using arithmetic sequences formula. We want to find the third term in the sequence. So in this case here with this type of formula here, b of 1 would actually be your first number. So you have your first, and then we have our second number, and then our third number in our sequence. So this would be our first number in the sequence, this is going to be our second, this is going to be our third. This b of 1 is our first number in the sequence. So that number is -2. We want to find what the third one is, so that's why I stopped at 3. So now the question is, how can we find the second? How can we find the third? Well, you're looking at this second formula, you're thinking, wow, this looks kind of complicated. But really, what you do is just use the number that's after the parentheses. Sometimes this is a plus for addition. Sometimes it's subtraction. In this case here, -7. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this -2 and subtract it by this -7. So you owe $2, you owe $7, so it becomes a -9. Now we want to continue on. Remember, with the sequence, it's always the same number that you're using, be it a positive number or a negative number. So we're going to write down the -7 here. So we're going to start at -9, and what we're going to do is we're going to combine -7 to it. So you owe -9. You went back and you borrowed $7 more. So 9 and 7 is 16. But since you owe that money, it's going to become a -16. So the third number to sequence is a -16. Okay, next question. This one's written a little bit different than the previous problem. You only really have one thing to work with. You don't have two levels here, you just have one level. So in this case here, you want to find the sixth term. So what you do is you replace the letter n with the 6. So we're going to say d of 6, because we're trying to find what the sixth term is equal to 8. Subtract. This is going to be 6. We're going to have parentheses. Now this n inside is also going to become 6 minus 1. So now we're going to do the order of operations. So we're going to have the 8. We're going to have the -6. But 6 minus 6 is going to be 5. So we're going to make this into a 5. So 6 minus 1 is 5. Again, continue with the order of operations. We're going to write down the 8, the minus sign, but we're going to take 6 times 5 is 30. So now we have 8 minus 30. So the situation here is that you owe $30. You owe somebody $30, but you can only give them 8. You should give them 30, but you're only given 8. So 30 subtract 8 is going to be 22. So since you still owe the money, it's going to be a -22. So d of 6 is going to be a -22. So we'll come over here, we'll type in a -22. Next one. Now this is a two-level problem, a little bit different than the previous one. This one you have almost like two equations. You can think of two levels. So we want to have the c of 1, and we want to find the third term. So we have the first term, second term, third term. So the first term is 6. Now to find the second term, remember we look right after the parentheses. So after the parentheses we have a -16. So we got 6 minus 16. So we owe $16, but we're paying only 6. We should pay back 16, but we only give 6, so it's a -10. Now we want to find the third term. So again, we have a -10 and a -16. Well, here you borrowed 10, you borrowed 26. So 10 and 26, or 10 and 16 is 26. So you borrowed 10, you borrowed 16. So 10 plus 16 is 26. But it's a negative since you owe that money. So our third number in the sequence would be a -26. Next one. Now notice right here again, you only got one level, one equation to work with. So you're going to say c of 4. So wherever there's an n, you're going to put that as a 4, is equal to -7 plus 6. Inside the parentheses here, we're going to get rid of the n and we're going to put down a 4. So we're going to say 4 minus 1. Okay, we're going to do order of operations. And actually there should be a 6 here. So I actually did miss that 6 here. So let me rewrite this. So I should have had a plus 6. So I should have had a plus 6. Then inside the parentheses, this letter N should have been a 4 minus the 1. So we have the negative 7, the plus 6, and then 4 minus 1. So what we'll do is we'll continue with the parentheses. So 4 minus 1 is 3. Okay, let's go to the next level. We got negative 7. So now we'll take 6 times 3 is 18. So this should be a positive 18. So now we're going to find the final step. So this is going to be C of 4. So we owe $7, but we have $18 to give. So basically 18 minus the 7 is 11. So the fourth term in this sequence should be 11. So again, wherever there was an and, we made that a 4. So 4 minus 1 is 3. Multiply 6 times 3 is 18. Then we combine that to the negative 7, and that makes that a positive 11. Now we have two levels here, two level equations. Now notice we're only going to the second term. So only need the first term, the second term. The first term we know is a negative 20. Second term, again, do not get confused with all the stuff right here. Just look at what comes after the parentheses. Here is a positive 10. So we're going to take the first number we start with, which is a negative 20, and we're going to add 10 to it. So, you owe $20, but you are giving $10 back. So that means you only owe $10. So your answer should be a negative 10. Remember, we're only going to the second term, so we just need to stop after 2. So my answer here should be a negative 10. Here we have only one level. One level, we're finding the fourth term. So we're going to say B of 4. So B of 4 is equal to 4 minus the 6. We're going to replace the letter N now with a 4, subtract 1. Okay, we're going to do the order of operations. So we have the 4, we have the minus 6. Now we're going to work with the parentheses here. So 4 minus 1 is 3. Now we're going to go again, use the order of operations. We're going to multiply. 6 times 3 is 18, but it's a negative 18. Okay, now for our last step. So we're going to find that B of 4. So B of 4. B of 4 is equal to 4 minus 18. Well, you owe 18, you should pay 18, but you're only paying 4. So if you owe 18, you give them 4, you still owe a negative 14. So negative 14 is what's left over. So again, we took 4 minus 1 is 3. 3 times 6 is 18. That's a negative 18. And then we have 4 minus 18. Well, that's going to be a negative 14. So we have a negative 14. Okay, now we have two levels here. And this time we want to go to the fourth term. So we want to find the first term, second term, third term, fourth term. Your first term is negative 2. This is what you start with. Again, we don't care about the stuff in the front. We only care what comes after the parentheses. This case here is a negative 5. So you want to take a negative 2 and a negative 5. Well, you owe 2. You went back, you borrowed 5. So 2 plus 5 is 7. But remember, you owe the money, so it's a negative 7. Again, continue with the negative 5. You owe 7 and you owe 5. So 7 plus 5 is 12. But remember, you owe the money, so it's a negative 12. Continue with the negative 5. You owe 12, but then you went back and you borrowed 5. So 12 plus 5 is 17. So this is a negative 17. Remember, we want to go 4 terms over. 1, 2, 3, 4. We want to consistently use the negative 5 here. So my answer is going to be a negative. So negative 17.